I was working with someone the other day. Today's talk is about priority. I'm talking with a lot of people. As you may gather, I talk with lots of people. I've been talking with lots of people for 20 years and more. I'm very privileged that I get to talk to hugely discerning people, and I learn a lot from that. I'm learning from everybody I talk to, but I'm talking to a lot of people that talk to me about their priorities, which are not really their priorities. I was talking to a man that said, I had a conversation with him, and over an hour he kept coming back to the fact that my priority is my children. That's all I live for. My priority is my children. This was a guy that was working massive amounts of hours in his job, and he didn't feel as though he was the father he should be. He said they're my priority, they're my main priority. That's all I'm bothered about, that's my main priority. And he said it a few times, and I said, eventually when he said to me they're my priority, I said to him, that's not actually true, is it? And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're working lots of hours, and that's really good because you're teaching your child, to labour hard in the world, to work hard, and that's really good. I said, but when you come home, your child isn't your priority. Because when you come home, when you're with your child, you're on the phone, you're on the laptop, you're on the computer, or you're watching television, or you're in front of your child, pushing him on the swing or down the slide, but you're not actually present. I said, so you say that your child is a priority, but your child isn't a priority. And there's no issue with you going out to work. That's what we do. We go and make a living. We teach our children to be industrious in the world. That's good. But if our child's our priority, we just need to be present with them. So if I'm present with my child for 30 minutes, completely present, phone switched off, laptop switched off, not talking to 10 other people. If I'm completely present with my child, then I can say my child is my priority. You say your child's your priority, but you smoke around your child. So your child's not your priority. We already know that when people smoke. This isn't a judgment, this is just objective. This is just talking about, we talk about priorities, and I'm talking about the fact that I know this because I've seen it in myself. But you say your child's a priority, but you smoke around your child. And we know that smoking creates cancer, secondary smoking creates cancer. And we know that what we do is what we teach, not what we say. It doesn't matter that you go and smoke by the door. That smoke is in you, it's on you. It's resonating out of you. So when we say our child's our priority and we smoke in front of them, we're not really telling the truth. Our child's not our priority because we're doing something that may kill us and it may kill them. We know that, and yet we still do it. And then we say they're our priority, but they're not our priority. So you say your child's your priority, and again I'm coming from my own history. I said my children are my priority, but I was 5 stone overweight, and I was violent, and I was breaking pretty much every one of the commandments at some place or another, so subtly, very subtly, So I was teaching my child to overeat. I was teaching my child to consume more energy than I was actually using. I was teaching my child to be greedy. I was teaching my child a lack of self-control. I was teaching my child to be unhealthy. I know that's a controversial thing to say, but that's what I was doing. That's exactly what I was doing, because we teach what we are. We teach what we are. It's not what we say. Francis of Assisi said, everybody should preach the gospel, and he's talking about everyone should tell the truth. And if they really have to, they should use words. What he was saying was, the way we live is how we teach. So if I'm violent, I'm teaching my children to be violent. Would you sit your child down and say, this is how you be violent with other people? We wouldn't. But if we are being violent in our life, and violence can be very subtle, if my wife doesn't want sex and I slam the door and don't talk to her, or I'm huffy with her, or I'm moody with her, or withdraw love, that's the first level of violence. That's a subtle level of violence. You know, if someone's on television and I say, look at that wanker, or whatever, or maybe even stronger language, then I'm very violent. If I'm judgmental towards people with aggression, that's violent. Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Vietnamese Buddhist, said, do not come to my peace marches with aggressive banners, because you are part of the violence. Don't come to my peace marches with your banners, with your violent banners, because you are part of the problem. You are part of the violence. No matter how justified it feels, we're in a low frequency and we're joining the frequency of hate and anger. He's saying, come to my marches and work from love, like Martin Luther King, like Gandhi, like Ralph Waldo Emerson. We're working from a frequency of love. So if I'm fiddling my tax and my books, bearing in mind that science says everything is joined, every piece of knowledge is conveyed to everybody at every moment at some level. Everything we think and say and do is conveyed to everybody else at some level. So if I'm fiddling my books, I'm teaching my child to steal. If I'm being critical, I'm teaching them to be subtly violent, or I'm teaching them about separation. If I'm discriminating, so if I'm seeing a hierarchy in the world and I'm seeing down and outs as being lower than CEOs, or if I'm seeing this kind of if I'm seeing somebody as better or worse or better, that's what I'm teaching my children. So the way I live, the way I think, the way I talk, the way I act is all what I teach my child. So what we've got to ask ourselves is, are they really our priority? If they're our priority, then we will. And it's same again. I was talking to a teacher recently who said, I just don't like this job. I don't like teaching anymore, but I'm here because I've got to pass stuff on to these kids. I've got to pass it on. I said, all you're passing on to kids is a lie. You're teaching them academic stuff, which is, anybody can do that. And I said, if you're turning up at this school and you're not working from love, you're teaching them not to work from love. Our job is to teach people to find what they love and work from love. Even if it's just working, even if we wash dishes from a place of love, we're still connecting to bliss. So your priority and your dharma isn't to turn up and pass on knowledge to kids if it doesn't come from love. Your job is to turn up, and whether you're teaching the ABCs or whether you're teaching Pythagoras, you've got to work from love. If you haven't found your dharma and you're not working from it, you can't teach them to do the same. We teach what we are. So if people are really our priority, we've got to have the discipline to say, what I am is what I teach. What I am is what I teach. It's not what we, if what we think and say and do are not in alignment. If I'm saying one thing, if I'm saying be a kind person, but I'm not actually a kind person to myself, and I'm not a kind person to other people, that's what I'm teaching, not what I'm saying, because the words aren't aligned to anything. They're just like piss in the wind. So if we want to be really powerful and we want to really say this is my priority, we make sure that we teach our children by being what it is we're teaching. If I want to teach my children love, then I've got to be working from love. If I want to teach them health, then I've got to be living healthily. If I want to teach them that they can create their own reality, they need to see me creating my own reality. It's no good me being 4 or 5 stone overweight and telling people they can change the world when I can't even change my own body shape. Because this is the world. This is it. You can change the world, and I'm telling you it's true, but actually it's not congruent because I'm not changing my own body. I know guys at a master level in martial arts who can't give up cigarettes, and they say it's beating me. It's just a perception. We've got to actually live our philosophy. And when we live it, we don't have to say much. There's not a lot to say because you are it. People need the truth. People need proof. They need the testimony. That's what the Bibles are about. The Bibles are about people coming out saying, here's my testimony. So when you turn up to people and you say to them, you can change the world and you can make a difference and you can work from love and this is powerful, they need to see that. They need to have the proof of that. You are the proof. They need the testimony. You are the testimony. You've got to be the testimony.